No shaving and no cutting your hair during the hockey playoffs.
All right.
That's the way it is.
Fair enough.
All right. Welcome to this week's episode of the Maxx Super Awesome Comic Review Show. Flying kind of solo tonight. Fox is sticking behind the camera. He's got rabies.
I have a
He bit me.
sore throat. Sore throat rabies. Don't worry about it.
No, he'll be back to his normal, cheerful self next week. But we have a really awesome top 5 for you this week, including 2 books in the top 5 that haven't been out in, one of them hasn't been out in a year, 2 years.
2 years, almost.
One of them hasn't been out since 2011.
Yeah.
So.
And it's actually a reprint of the one that came out in 2011.
That's true. That is true.
So that's a hint.
But amazing enough that it's going to make it onto the top 5. So we're going to get right down to it. Coming in at number 5 this week, we have 8, issue number 4, written and illustrated by Raphael Albuquerque. Lots of exposition. Everything's going to end next issue, so this brings it all together. This is the issue where it explains everything. And the next issue, everything's just going to blow up. Coming in at number 4, one of the books coming out of Secret Wars that I was most excited for. It is A-Force, written by Marguerite Bennett and G. Willow Wilson. And
art by Jorge Molina.
There you go, Jorge Molina on the art. Looks awesome. They fight a giant shark.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mutant shark, and also a lot of your favorite female characters that haven't really been in the spotlight in a while get to shine in this. So,
yeah.
pretty
it's
awesome.
All female Avengers team. It's fantastic. It's awesome. Check it out. Coming in at number 3, this is the book that you haven't seen since August 2013. It is Optic Nerve, issue number 14, written by Adrian Tomei. We get 2 stories in the main book, one in black and white, one in color. Always awesome. And then we get a 3rd story after the letter pages that is all...
Yeah, it's an auto bio.
Yeah.
Which, his auto bio is always funny.
Right.
His narrative fiction is always brutal. It's really depressing. But then he ends you on a high note with his auto bio.
Now that you want to go jump out a window, read this funny thing. But no, Optic Nerve is awesome, and...
Yeah, Tomei is one of the top names. He's like a Chris Ware, or, he's one of the kings of indie.
You gotta have some Tomei on your shelf.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Or some Optic Nerve in your collection. Also gives it credibility. I usually don't play the legit game, but...
Come on.
Coming in at number 2, it is the Fade Out issue number 6, 2nd issue of the 2nd arc. I mean, we talk about it every single time. Probably the most realistic comic in comics today, from art to writing to characters. Fade Out is brilliant and amazing, and it's definitely, one of comics' greatest, 2 of comics' greatest, Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker, doing their greatest work, in my opinion, so far. So
totally. Did you hear Matt at the shop today talking about how he couldn't even finish the first volume because it was too real?
Too real.
Man, I read comics to escape.
And that's fair. And that's cool. If you just want to do the cape thing and just live in the fantasy world, that's awesome. But if you like your comics with an edge and you like them set, in a darker, more real world setting, Fade Out is going to be the book that you fall in love with. Speaking of books that are set in 2 worlds, the next book coming in at number 1, which you haven't seen the first issue of since 2011. Guess what? You still haven't seen the 2nd issue. But we get a 3rd printing of issue number 1. It's Nonplayer issue number 1. I don't know where I was in 2011 that I didn't read this book.
Yeah, somehow I didn't hear about any of the hyper hoopla until they announced a 2nd issue was coming out, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Nonplayer? What's that?
And that's when I found out about it too. And they were like, we should order Nonplayer. And I was like, what is Nonplayer? And why do I want to read it? No, gorgeously illustrated. The characters, they live inside a video game, and they live inside in the real world. Real world is also in the future, so you get robots, and you get dinosaurs, and you get awesome chicks with double-sided swords and pet tigers. Come on. Do I need to say anything else?
Yeah, I mean, crack open the book. You'll see interiors right while I'm talking. This is a can't miss kind of thing. And
first page, I looked at it and I was like, oh,
this is number 1 on the top 5. And then number 2 is gonna be coming out on the heels of this one.
Yeah.
Apparently, finally, but to me, it's gonna be on schedule. So.
Right. That's cool, which is why it makes it onto the number 1. That's how I'm justifying it.
Yep.
Wasn't around in 2011 to wait 4 years for issue 2.
Watch
we got two
pick,
graphic
right?
novel
Oh, we got two?
picks. Yeah, we have 2 this week. The first one by Andrew MacLean is ApocalyptiGirl.
Yeah, this is the guy you may have heard of, Headlopper or Meatspace, Department Zero. He's done some Kickstarter stuff that's been successful and lots of like self-published stuff, but this is from Dark Horse now. So.
And I'm just gonna read what what John Arcudi had to say about it, because he's one of my favorite guys, and so when I see his endorsement on something, I'm like,
yeah. Rumble and BPRD author says
Andrew MacLean is one of the most boldly original visions in comics. He seems to see the world so differently from the rest of us, and that's what makes him perfect for this medium. So this book is really awesome. It's about a girl like traveling by herself with a pet cat in the apocalypse, or post-apocalypse, however you want to phrase that. But yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
like future. It's kind of like Tank Girl-esque in like the setting.
$10, can't go wrong.
No,
$10 for this book.
beautiful.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna read it. And you're gonna be like, what? Second on our graphic novel watch list this week, we have Satoshi Kon Dream Fossil. This is a collection of short stories from the legendary Japanese manga and anime master Satoshi Kon. Passed away. This is sort of, this is all you're gonna get. This is the complete stories. This is everything. But you get stories ranging from, samurais in ancient Japan to like kids in high school just trying to figure out what's going on in the world. Excellent stuff. I would recommend. There's a few people like Adrian Tomei in the indie world that maybe you don't necessarily read a lot of indie comics, but you'll enjoy his stuff. Even if you don't do a lot of Eastern comics or manga or anime or anything like that, Satoshi Kon's works you're going to enjoy. They're just beyond barriers. So, check out Dream Fossil. Foxy, that's all I have for this week's episode. You got anything? Oh, go see Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh my gosh. And then you can also check out the tie-in comic that came out this week. I haven't read it yet. But
yeah, and that one, each issue's gonna focus on different characters from the
totally.
movie.
And the first issue of the comic has way more dialogue than the movie had, which that makes me wonder. Because the movie was great, and one of its strengths was its lack of dialogue, but we'll see how that works in comic book form with way more words.
Haven't read it yet, because ApocalyptiGirl. And Nonplayer. And 8. And all these other things. But the comic did look cool. Like, there was a lot of explosions, some cool art.
Oh, yeah.
So, lots of words. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Max's Super Awesome Comic Review Show. We will be back here next week at the same time with co-host Foxy. Hopefully he'll be recovered and he can step out from behind the camera and join us for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
Or not,
Maybe we'll see what happens.
Alright, till next week, stay frosty. Read Nonplayer.